Good morning. What an amazing day today to meet together in our cell groups. And can you just turn to your neighbor and say good morning? Just wave at them because you are not supposed to shake hands. Think about that. Just a few weeks back, no one would have imagined that this kind of situation would be there, that we would not be gathering as we usually do in a church building, and we would be gathering in small groups. Because life is unpredictable, life can be interrupted. In fact, today I want to talk about how to deal with life interruptions. And I can look back at my personal life when I thought everything was going well, everything was laid out and was clear, and then boom, something happens and just life is interrupted. One of those moments was when I was a student in seminary preparing for ministry. One morning I woke up and I was casually looking at my emails, checking the emails, and then there was this email that came from my sponsor, and I was excited. I was wondering what they were telling me, and having been away from my family, I thought maybe they were saying, well, we have the funds available and we are going to allow you to go back to your country to visit your family. So I was excited. Then I opened the email and wow, I was surprised. I was not ready for what it was there. Basically, they were telling me the sponsorship was done. They were no longer going to sponsor my studies, and they were actually telling me or asking me to go back to my country. I was there. I froze. My body started aching just at that instant. I was confused. I was angry. I felt like the world was caving in around me. And maybe I know that it's not just me. I know that every one of us goes through those kind of experiences where you wonder like, okay, what has happened? Because my life was clearly laid out. Everything was planned out. Everything was going well. Maybe it was a routine of visit to the doctor's office, and then he gives you information that changed your life forever. Or maybe it's a phone call you received from a loved one or whom you thought was a loved one. And he's telling you, you know what, our relationship is over. And you felt like everything around you was breaking up. You're confused, you don't know what to do, you're wondering, God, what's going on? Where are you? And these things happen. The fact that we are here this morning is because our lives have been interrupted. Our social lives have been interrupted. Our economic lives have been interrupted because 3 months back there's this virus that came and has wreaked havoc to the entire world systems. All the systems, the economies of the world are at their knees right now. Recently, I was reading a post from one of the Facebook friends, and he was sharing how they were predicting that this year was going to be the best in the tourist industry. But everything has changed. Everything is grounded. Companies are thinking of downsizing and laying off their workers. They don't know what to do. Have you wondered where God is in all this? Like, okay, God, where are you? Has he taken a vacation and left the world to be run by a virus? Or is he judging us because we are stubborn and repentant? I've heard comments similar to these ones. And I think people here really miss the point. Miss the whole point of the purpose of life's interruptions. I believe God has an answer to our dilemmas. I believe God has an answer to life's interruptions. I believe that God is speaking to us this morning. He's speaking to you. Maybe you're going through life interruptions, maybe caused by the coronavirus, maybe caused by other experiences. Recently, a friend of mine shared a message from the book of Mark, chapter 4, verse 35. Chapter 4, verse 35 to 41. And I felt that the Lord was speaking to the church about the times that we live in. Let's turn to that passage in Mark chapter 4, verse 35 through chapter 41, and let's read together. I'm reading from the NIV. That day when evening came, he said to his disciples, "Let's all go over to the other side." Leaving the crowd behind, they took him along just as he was in the boat. There were also other boats in him. So, the disciples seem to be in charge. Life looks good, right? Apparently, they are in charge. Jesus is just tagging along. They took him along just as he was in the boat. They are the masters of the lake. They know everything. They know what to do. They are in charge. They know the destination. And then, boom, something happens. A furious squall came up. The waves broke over the boat so that it was near a swamp. That's what the Bible says. It was near a swamp. They were drowning. Waters were coming into the boat. They didn't know what to do. No one saw this coming. They had no idea what to do. They are run out of options. But then there is something unusual that is happening here. Let's read on. Jesus is in the stern, sleeping on a cushion. Think about that for a moment. Jesus was in the stern, sleeping, literally sleeping. Okay, let's go back to the previous verse and read it again, just in case you missed it. It says, a furious squall came up, and the waves broke over the boat, and it was nearly swamped. It was drowning. And this Jesus is sleeping, literally. Whatever the reason was for this kind of deep sleep, it just shows that Jesus was as human as you and me. He was exhausted, probably exhausted from the previous ministry engagements, and he needed time to sleep. I've seen some people sleep through storms and through interruptions. You could do anything and they won't wake up. You almost think that maybe they are dead, but they are sleeping. So it's not unusual that Jesus is sleeping. Maybe some of you can identify with this kind of sleep. Yes. He was sleeping. But you see, Jesus identifies with us because he's human. Then the disciples woke him up and said, "Teacher, don't you care that we drown?" The disciples actually thought, "You are going to drown," maybe including Jesus. Hey, man, wake up! You're going to drown along with us. Don't you care that we drown? And Jesus, sleeping and bothered about the impending catastrophe. Maybe you've been in that point where, those moments where you're asking God, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Can't you see me? I'm drowning. Can't you see me that the world is caving in around me? Can't you see me that I'm stuck and I don't know what to do? Can't you see me that I need you at this moment? Don't you care that we drown? But don't miss the point here. Jesus was there, right? He was there. Sleeping, yes, but he was there with them in the storm, with them when they thought they were drowning. And that's the point. Jesus is always with us. He's always with us in our life's experiences, in our lives, when our lives are interrupted. He's right there. He's there when we need him. And then verse 39, he got up and rebuked the wind and said to the waves, "Quiet, be still." Then the winds died down and it was completely calm. Think about this again. Jesus rebuked the storm. He spoke to the storm as though it had ears and was listening to him. And indeed it was. The storm was listening to Jesus. He commanded the waves to quiet, to Be quiet and still. He spoke to something inanimate. He spoke to something impersonal. Why? Because everything, and I mean everything, is under his sovereign power. Everything is under his sovereign power. It doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't matter the magnitude. It doesn't matter the kind of interruptions it brings into our lives. It doesn't matter whether it brings the systems of the world to its knees. God is sovereign, and everything is under his sovereign power. Everything God created listens to him. Everything God created bows to him, because I always tell people that everything that has a name has a knee, and therefore it bows to the name of Jesus. When life becomes interrupted, when the storms of life come, remember this, that Jesus is right there with you, and that he is in control. Jesus is right there with you, and is in control. He was with me in that cold winter morning in South Korea when I felt like the world was coming big around me. He's with you when you feel helpless and defeated. He has sovereign power over your situation and predicaments that we face every day. Verse 40, he said to his disciples, "Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith?" And he's asking that question today. Why are you troubled? Why are you panicking? Why are you responding like the whole world responds? That, of course, that doesn't mean you don't take precautions. We trust God, but we brush our teeth every morning, right? We trust God, but when you sit in the car, you strap your seat belt. We trust God, and therefore we take the precautions. We wash our hands with soap for 20 seconds. Whenever you're going to enter a building or you're coming out of it, make sure you wash your hands. After this meeting, when you're getting out, make sure you wash your hands with soap for 20 seconds. When you get home, before you do anything, wash your hands with soap for 20 seconds. Don't be in crowded places unless you really have to. Take precautions. But even when we are taking precautions, we don't panic, we don't fear like the world is. Why are you so afraid? Don't you still have faith? They were terrified, and as it is, who is this? Even the wind and the waves obey him. The world is looking for an answer. And let me tell you this age-old response. Jesus is the answer. Jesus is the answer to life's interruptions. Jesus is the answer to this pandemic. Jesus is the answer to your life's challenges. Jesus is the answer to your aches and frustrations. He has sovereign power over your situation. He has sovereign power over your predicaments. He has sovereign power over every challenge that you face every single day. God still calls us to have faith. In times when everyone is panicking and living in fear, we need to trust him. We need to speak his word to our circumstances. Jesus told us that we can speak to mountains, we can speak to the coronavirus, we can speak to this hopeless situation. We can believe God to mend our brokenness and restore us. We can trust God to guide us through the darkest valleys of our lives. We can still trust him to calm the storms of our lives. And that's my encouragement for this moment. And for this season, let's trust God. That even when things do not turn out the way we expected, let's trust that Jesus is there. Let's speak his word in faith. Let's speak in his name to the mountains, to the challenges, to the life situations. Let's be a source of hope and encouragement to the others who have lost hope. Let's pray together. Our Heavenly Father, we come to you this morning in the face of everything that we are dealing with, in the face of this corona pandemic. But we want to face it with faith and hope in you, knowing that you are with us, knowing that you are helping us, knowing that everything submits under your sovereign power, knowing that you have given us the power and authority to speak hope and healing and life in those moments, O King of Glory. Father, Lord, that even as the world